Hey guys, it's me again, Orcs. Where we last left off, let's see, checking. I'll be continuing what if issei had a chaos flame. Bit more time to think about it, since it's been literally 3 months. Dang, why did I leave it for this long? I actually quite enjoy it. Anyways, when I last left off, Issei's father's dead. Both Issei and his mom went to Kyoto, since they figured that would be a nice fresh start. Then what happened after that? Also, drink of the night. Sweet tea again. Kyoto. They met Yusaka and Kuno. Kuno followed Issei around after he got done with school and things like that. And then she was kidnapped by like some human hunters. They're captured mythical creatures or the creatures of the supernatural world and put them on the black market, essentially. So Issei busted in there. He really snuck in there and saved Kuno, but she insisted on freeing all the supernatural creatures, so they did, and then there was a massive fire. So following that, essentially what happens is that they get there, they get found, and then, of course, and chaos ensues, and a dog is kicked really badly. It's a 3-headed Cerberus. Issei feels incredibly bad because this creature essentially just distracted this criminal and saved his life. So he's trying to figure out what to do, and then he just hits him right there. He's like, as he starts focusing his magic and mana and everything like that. Excuse me. He focuses all his mana and all that, or the chaos flame in particular. He focuses it and harnesses a portion of it, and sort of like not fuses it, but sort of lights its own kindling or fire inside this Cerberus dog. As the dog sort of transforms and shifts form to where now it represents more a normal dog, except its fur is orange, like red-orange. Has it looks similar to what you would call what's a dog? It has the face of what Rottweiler, if anyone knows what that is. Pretty good dogs, all things. I like them personally. But Rottweiler, its fur is bright orange with mixes of gray, symbolizing flame and all that, Issei's like, what did I just do? As Kuno's like, come on, Issei! As they have to run and hurry along. As he's like, alright. As they're running away from this burning building, all the supernatural creatures are gone. Issei's just like, oh, I hope I don't get in trouble for this. She's like, you won't get in trouble. He's like, you don't know my mother. She may not like this. I'm doing this as soon as we get here and settle down after a little while. And he's like, alright, safe. As they get there, and that's it. Issei takes Kuno home, and he pretty much says, look after this dog. As the dog was actually up and at it, after a little bit, as it just followed him. As Yusaka and his mother were actually quite worried, so Yusaka met up with Issei's mother. I almost said Izuku. Issei's mother. Trying to ask, where is he? Where did my daughter go? Do you know? Sort of deal. As they were discussing this, they just showed up again, and the guards notified her. As Issei came with no real burns, his clothes were a bit scorched. Same thing with Kuno. As Yusaka's like, are you okay? What's happened? And then you had Issei's mom's like, what happened to you? Why are you on fire? Why is there a dog following you? And she's like, it's a long story. I kind of just want to go to bed. As she's like, no. You're going to explain to me what happened. He's like, alright. Can I do it while I'm falling asleep? She's like, Yusaka, I hate to bother you, but she's like, take a room, please. I beg of you, take a room. At least let me be this hospitable towards you. As they get a room, and it's like, so, what happened? He's like, alright. Here's the dig. As he explains what happened, it's just like, she's like, that's what happened. Like, yep. You have any idea what this could do? He's like, probably get us notified where there's still something going on. It's like, yes, but did you almost realize that you could have burned down the forest? He's like, I controlled the flames, don't worry. So she's like, really? He's like, you had that much control over the fire, you could snuff them out on a timer. He's like, yeah? She's like, I don't fucking know. He's like, I went with the thing, alright? I can keep something alive for as long as like 10 minutes. She's like, that's if you're focusing on it, right? He's like, yeah, no? She's like, really? Then that means there must be a fire out there. As in, like, oh, he's like, I'm just trying to go to bed. Oh. As he's just like, I'm tired. What do I gotta deal with this? As that's what's going on with them. As Kyoto is explaining what happened with issei and all that. As she followed issei, played with him a little bit. Things like that. As Yusaka's just like, what am I gonna do with you? She's like, also, have you seen that, Cerberus? He's like, Cerberus? Like, the dog Issei's like, that's not Cerberus. She's like, oh, I thought it was. She's like, what happened? She's like, I don't know, I was running. Issei told me to run while he dealt with the dog. She's like, really? And what happened after you left? He's like, I saw something bright orange. Something bright and orange, and I wasn't able to see it completely, but after he picked up the dog, it was perfectly fine, except it lost 2 heads. Yusaka's like, never heard something like that before. This must be some weird, is that a sacred gear, or a special type of magic? As she's thinking about this, as Kuno just yawns, like, alright, so we go to bed. As Deku's on the other side of the little house, as he's just like, I'm going to sleep. She's like, Issei, don't try to do something like this again, please. Could have gotten yourself hurt. He's like, I know, Mom, but I couldn't let her get kidnapped. I just had to help. As he just sort of rubs his eye, he's like, no, I'm gonna sleep. She's like, go to bed, Lily, say. Go to bed. She rubs her eyes. She's like, what am I going to do with this boy? And she just sort of just like, I need to go to bed too. And she knows there's like another bed in the room. As she sleeps on that, she's like, thank you, Yusaka. As Yusaka sort of listened in a little bit after she got done with Kyoto, she's like, so what are these two hiding? As we'll skip a couple of years in the future. Issei had gotten used to Kyoto a bit more. Same thing with the same deal as Yusaka. He had come to trust them a bit, but they don't really tell them anything about the Chaos Flame. They just say, again, like I said before in the previous thing, they say they have flame magic, but that's about it. Special kind of flame magic, and that's what they put it as. As Yusaka tried to inquire about to Issei's mom, but she says, in all honesty, I don't know everything about it. His dad had the same ability, but he refused to really elaborate, saying it would probably jeopardize my safety. As Yusaka's like, is it possibly a sacred gear? She's like, oh no, it's definitely not that. His father made it pretty clear that it wasn't a sacred gear. But he did say that if it was one, it'd probably be along the Longinus. It's like, really now? It's like, Though, I'm quite skeptical about that, with how it works. And like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know exactly. It just says you can pass it down. You combine your flame with another's. It's just like, really? Hey, I don't know everything, alright? As she just ignores any further questions, saying that she doesn't really want to go into it, as she's like, very well. As you got Issei and Kuno just growing up, as then they also, as Kuno actually asked Issei about the neat little magic he used, he's like, can't say, alright? As he had to be very, very cryptic about what he said, as to not, draw suspicion. She's like, as she pouts, wondering what to know what the music was. So then she just jumped on his shoulders and like, tell me what it is. He's like, no. Tell me what it is. No. Tell me what it is. No. Tell me what it is. No. As that goes on for 30 minutes straight. So he's just walking looking for Yosaka. As he's like, tell me what it is. No. Tell me what it is. No. Tell me what it is. No. As it's just like, he's like, please, Kyoto, stop. Tell me what it is. No. As he's just like, please, Yosaka, help me. As he's sort of crying on the inside, he's like, Yosaka. So he finds him like in a kitchen sort of like area. It's like, Yosaka. And she's like, tell me what it is. No. Tell me what it is. No. Can you please help me? She won't stop asking about, tell me what it is. No. Like, what? The magic I use to save the dog? She won't stop. Please. Distract her. Teach her how to cook. Something. Oh no. She's like, Kyono-san, you know that Issei doesn't want to tell you the secret, right? He's like, yeah, but we're friends. Now, come on, tell me it. She's like, tell me what it is. No. As he's just like, oh, please, God. As he's just like, please, God. She's like, God. And he's like, as Issei's mom's like, God. He's like, deal with it. I don't care at this, please. Please, by anything supernatural, Blinker, stop. Kyoto, Yosaka, please. She's like, why don't you just tell her? He's like, cause child can't know. Nobody can know. It's family secret. Too bad. As he just leaves, as he just dropped, he essentially just left them with Kyoto. As he's like, I'm gonna go to sleep or something. As then he actually goes outside like the mansion or shrine area, wherever they are at the moment. And he actually goes to test out his powers a bit more, learning to weave more of the flame to his will, or trying to use different methods that he could use with the flame. Like, he has figured out that he can conjure not weapons, but he can conjure like balls of fire, massive ones, gouts of flame. Think of any pyromancy that's like the chaos flame that you could do. He can pretty much do that. So like chaos vestige, that like giant freaking ball of fire that you threw that looked like a freaking planet with a ring of fire around it. Firestorm, where it like launches all the pillars of fire. He can do all that. Freaking Power Within, which essentially, if I remember, Power Within is a pyromancy where it buffs you greatly, like you do a lot more damage and such, but you are slowly but surely losing health. Those are some of the few abilities that he got, and you can actually train them up to make them even more powerful than in Dark Souls. So as he's doing this, he is actually able to figure out how to use the fire to somewhat shapeshift weapons. Because one day when he was happening around, he found an old abandoned axe. He's like, huh? Like, what is this? As he's just like, looks around, he's like, conjure weapons and fuse up living things with fire, like Dad did with Mom, and I did with that dog. What if I... As he sort of focuses the fire, as he's just like... since, fire has its own will and such, it consumes everything, or forges new, or shapeshifts, whatever, you know what I mean. You can catch my drift. As he sort of molds it, as he sort of elongates this little hatchet, as it comes down to like two-handed for him at least, it turns grayish. He can feel it that the metal and wood is strengthening. So he opens his eyes. It looks more crude, but it's actually more finely made. As his very will, let's say, carve the axe into a better version. As he has it's pretty much demonic with ash, black ash, and you can see little cracks in it, quote unquote cracks, where fire is somewhat leaking out. He's like, whoa. As he's like, it feels good in my hands. As he swings it around, as he's like As he goes to swing it down hard, it lets out like a thing of fire as he slashes with it, as it cuts through 3 trees in front of it. He's like, that is awesome. He's like, I didn't know I could do that. As he remembers a bit of his father's word from his mother had brought something that helped, that where not Hisashi, this isn't Deku, where Issei's father would explain a little bit of how it works. That it's pretty much only limited by his imagination of what sort of things he can transform and or do with, plus how much of a power boost he's been given by it. Like I said before, Issei's dad, by the end of it, would probably be able to take on, like, the Maos. Like, I would say, like, Leviathan, the Mao Leviathan, when he had the Chaos Flame within him. And that he wasn't that powerful to begin with, he had to level it up. So he essentially became, like, worth 2 Maos, let's say, is how much power he has. So Surzex and Seraphon would have to work together to beat him. That's how powerful he was. Now, Issei could either be like 2 times more powerful, so it would take all 4 of the Maos, or it could be 2 to the power of like itself, like 2 times, or let's say like 4 times 4. I believe that's how it works, I remember. Like I was saying, I had to just make sure my math was correct. Or it could be like, let's just say Issei's father is 2. If Issei were to put, or let's say if Issei's dad was 4, and then Issei's power multiplied by his dad's power, not like multiplied by 2, but multiplied by itself, Issei would be most likely on the level of Heavenly Dragons, is where he would rank himself as. But Issei doesn't truly know, but a person holding the Chaos Flame doesn't truly know what level of power they're on until they fully unlocked it. Like I said, Issei's dad wasn't always the power of 2 Maos, or loose Surzex and Seraphon. He had to work up to get there, to grind there. So in truth, Issei could be could be a little bit more powerful than his dad, or he could be able to literally go toe to toe with all the faction leaders like Michael, the 4 Maos, and Azazel. He could be on that level. They really don't know. So, I digress. This is essentially what's going to happen. Issei's doing this, and then he feels something. He's like, why do I feel something so familiar? As he turns around, as he sees that dog that's been hanging around with Kuno and Issei a lot, he's like, what you doing here? As the dog just barks. She's like, your Kuno's, not mine. Go away. As he's focusing on the axe, as he gives it a few more swipes, dog runs over as like Issei's like, what the fuck? As he jumps back as he sees the dog come for him, as the dog is holding a thing in his mouth, he's like, very funny, you mutt, but give me that back. As he goes to grab it, as the dog just jumps back and just starts wagging his tail. It's like, here, bowl. As he tells the dog to give him. My dog is in the room and it's dark and I can just see their eyes. It's horrifying. As soon as I said ball and snapped my fingers, they just started staring into my eyes. I see you. But anyways, I digress. That's... Not that. Sorry. As he's just like, give me it. Come on. As he's just running around after this dog, it's just like, come on. Come here. As it's just like, alright. Yes, I'm just talking about the character, but yes, I'll pet you too. As that's how he spends the rest of his day, chasing after this thing. He's like, come on, give it back. I want it, give me it. Just like, can't believe I used my... As he thinks about it, he's like, I used my powers on this thing. Alright. As he tries to figure, like, since he's like, I'm connected to it somehow, so as he focuses, he's able to sort of concentrate on it. He's just like, sit, as he shouts that command as he immediately just sits down. Givey. As then it brings the axe over to him as he's just like, well, I'll be. Oh. Sorry. As he's like, well, that's a neat thing. Now, why don't I just... As he tries to take it back, then he loses concentration, it slips, and then it jumps back. He's just like, oh my god. It's just like, oh. And he's looking down, he's like, hey, buddy. He's like, you want the stick? He just like looks at the stick in his hand as he's waving it back and forth. He's like, as it just drops the axe, he's just like, it's like, fetch, as he throws it, and the dog chases after it. He's just like, alright, give me the axe back. As he sees it sort of get larger as it starts running through the woods, he's like, oh boy. So he gets the axe and tries to sort of change it back, and he succeeds. He's like, alright, so I can take it back. As the dog is right behind him, as he's like, you are way bigger. As the dog right now is about the size of the horse. Of a horse. As he's just like, well, scratch it. No, he's the size of a moose. Moose are killers. But anyways, as he's just like, so, you're bigger. As it barks, and he's just like, alright, you're big boy. As he just starts petting its side. Stick, as it just drops the stick, as now it's just in half. He's just like, oh, this is gonna be a long day. As that's where I'm gonna be ending this one off at. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys continue to enjoy this, and I hope you guys tell me what you think about the series, guys. I don't think I got any messages about that last time, but anyways, if you guys enjoy this, continue to enjoy this. Hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life.